but I wanted to use it as an excuse to get your number. I was so nervous. Are you kidding me?
This isn't gonna work. Like, I did not want to tell my dad.
That was awkward for me.
Oh my word.
After our first date, and then she starts laughing. He was kind of like my wingman.
Nope, just call it off. I said, yep, he's the one.
That was not the right call.
Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to our channel. This week or today. So for this week's video, we're gonna be telling you guys the story of our first date. So if you're interested, then keep on watching. Where did we leave off?
I had just gotten your Snapchat.
Yeah.
We talked on Snapchat for a while, and then I got your number, and we texted for a little while. This is like a week each.
I remember we had talked for like 2 weeks on Snapchat, like he said. And you Snapchatted me and asked me for my number at some point. And I was like...
I do remember that actually, because I wanted to share with you my country music playlist.
Oh,
and I couldn't send you the link on Snapchat. Or if I could...
That was a whole thing too.
Yeah. I think I could have sent you the link, but I wanted to use it as an excuse to get your number. And so I said, hey, could you send me your number so I can text you this Spotify link to my country playlist that I had made on Spotify.
It was really difficult for me because I had a really old flip phone. I didn't want to buy an iPhone at that point. So I had an iPod, like a touch iPod that you could do, you know, I texted from that only with Wi-Fi, and then I had Spotify on that. But you had to use your email because like there wasn't a phone number attached.
I remember
And then
that.
I had a flip phone that I could text from without Wi-Fi. So I had two. It was really confusing. So I had to send him like my email. And you're like, oh, I've never done this before. I remember you said that. Our first date was November 7th because that's my favorite date ever.
November 7th. I knew it was in November. I would not have been able to tell you the date.
So that was like a week. Scammer was Halloween weekend.
Yeah.
So we texted for like a week before we went out on our first date.
Sure enough.
I don't remember really what we talked about that week.
No, asking random questions. What's your favorite color? What do you want to do when you grow up? That kind of stuff.
When you grow up?
Well, like when you get out of college.
Yeah.
When you get out of college, you know, when you become an adult.
How people say that. What do you want to be when you grow up? And then when you're like 20, you're like, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Well,
I do remember when you were like planning it all out, because I already knew you were going to ask me. Because the night before you texted me, you were like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? I was like, just working, you know, I'm opening tomorrow, so I'll, you know, long day. And you were like, oh, can I call you tomorrow? I have a question to ask you. And he had never called me before, so I was like, oh no, he's gonna ask me. He texted me that like late at night, the night before. So I was thinking about that. I was like, oh man, he's gonna call me. And he said, do you have like a lunch break I could call you? Just a quick question. He was kind of making it to be like this kind of a big deal, and I was like, oh man. But I remember I was like, okay, I need to go make the phone call. Like it had kind of slowed down, and I remember I went upstairs in my boss's office. I called you and you were like, oh hi, this is Grant Brian, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Or something. And I was like, oh my word, like what do you mean? Like you're expecting this as much as I was. And I was laughing to myself.
I just couldn't figure out how to answer the phone. Like I wasn't sure if I should say like, hey, how you been? Like, because I knew it was you.
I know.
But I didn't have the number saved at the time.
Yeah.
Or maybe I did. Oh, I was so nervous. Are you kidding me? Couldn't even think straight.
And then I remember you said, do you want to go have dinner with me one night? And I was like, sure. And I could not believe I had said yes, because I've never been on a date before. Like a date, you know? I remember we got off the phone and I was like, I just said yes. And at this point, I had not told my parents or like my friends, anyone. I'm just very private too, so I was like, man, I have to tell my mom and dad. Like, I'm gonna have to tell them, like, this is officially, you know, starting. That must have been, you must have asked me like 5 or 6 days in, because we went on the date on the 7th. So that must
I didn't feel like I was rushing, you know, when we were living it.
Yeah. I didn't feel like it was rushing at all, because
we were talking a lot. I
didn't want to go through that dumb phase, like, oh, I wonder if he likes me, or,
you
know, we obviously liked each other. I wanted to start dating, so I didn't think it was too quick. You knew I wanted to go to Carrabba's. I
had asked my sister-in-law, who is her good friend, what her favorite restaurant was, and my sister-in-law had told me that she liked Carrabba's really, like, a lot.
That's not how it was. No, I remember, because we were playing that game on the bus to go to Scaramouche, and I said, I couldn't think of one. I was like, Carrabba's. And she said, that's how you knew. Like, we talked about it.
Maybe so.
Because afterwards, when you said, let's go to Carrabba's, I'm like, oh. Because I said that at Skinner.
I guess that's how it happened.
I don't know. That's just what she told me. I was so nervous.
Yeah, so the night of comes around. I worked that day and got off, I don't know, at a reasonable hour, 4:30, 5 o'clock. Went home, did the thing, shaved and shower, hit the road. We were gonna meet there. At this point, I hadn't asked her dad yet, so I didn't want to like show up at the house and just pick her up. I wanted to just be, also I didn't want it to be like an awkward ride home if it didn't work out, anything like that. So I'm just thinking, make it easy for, you know, give her an out if she needs it. So we decided we were gonna meet there. It was pretty much halfway, a little further for me than for her, but you know, it was pretty much halfway.
But see, you skipped over, like, I have so much before that.
Well, then go ahead.
It was just a bigger deal for me, like, getting ready for the date. I had my best friend over, and she was, like, helping me get ready. And it was a huge deal when he texted me and said, let's just meet there. Because I totally was like, oh, no, this isn't going to work. Like, I'm very traditional, so I was expecting him to, like, come pick me up. And I remember as soon as he texted me that, I, like, stopped. I was like, this isn't going to work. Like, you know. And my friend was like, nope, just call it off, call it. And I was like, no, like, and I couldn't tell her, but I was like, the Holy Spirit, you know, this is gonna work out. I already know it's gonna work out. When I got home from work the day before, like that day that he asked me, we were gonna go out the day after. I was like, man, I have to tell my mom, I have to tell my dad. So I went up and I told my mom, and my mom, like, we still have a great relationship. She just kind of trusts me. But I remember she was like, Mom, I have to tell you something. She's like, okay. And I said, I have a date tomorrow, you know, my first date, whatever. And you don't know him. She was like, okay. And then I remember she actually said, is it one of the Bryan boys? And I was like, yeah.
Really?
She's like, okay, I won't ask you any questions. And then she's like, you need to tell your dad, like, you know. And I remember I was just thinking of like the right moment to tell my dad. And I waited till he was working out, because he's always happier when he's working out. And I went down there, I was like, Dad, he's like, don't tell me you got a boyfriend or something. And I was like, yeah, I'm going out on a date. He said, no. He said, listen. He like set me down. He's like, you're in school, you know, you've got college now. I know your brother just moved away and you're wanting more friends and, you know, all this stuff. He said, this is not the way to go, you know, and he was just telling me all this stuff. You live here, you don't think about moving out yet, you know, he just went on this whole thing. I was like, Dad, you know, thank you and all this stuff, but I have a date tomorrow. I still really want to go. He took it really well. He kind of was sad. I was getting ready the next day with my friend, and Grant said that he was going to, like, we were going to meet there. I did not want to tell my dad, like, at all. And I went upstairs to talk to my mom about it. I was like, Mom, what do you think? Like, he said he just wants to meet there. And she was like, oh, man, you know, it's not really a good sign because we're just very traditional, like I said. Like, we just really, I think the guy needs to mainly do the pursuing and, like, you know, picking up. But now I understand from your point of view.
And to be fair, my family's very traditional too.
Yeah.
In some aspects, much more traditional than hers.
Exactly.
But, you know, it was just a little bit of a difference.
Yeah.
Like I said, this was my first, like, official asking you out on a date, wanting to be your boyfriend kind of a thing. I was just learning, I guess, you know. I was 18 and a half, but I was learning.
Yeah.
So in my mind, give her an out. Don't make it big or official by calling her dad until I want it to be official, that kind of a thing. So that was my mindset going in, but apparently that was not the right call.
It just worried me a little bit. I also knew he was very traditional, so that's why it confused me. But ultimately, my mom was just like, you're going to have to decide, you know. I don't even know this guy. And I was like, well, I barely do anyway. But I finished getting ready. My friend was like, you just need to come over to my house and spend the night after you get off, after you're done. You know, tell me everything. So it was just like a huge deal for me because I'd never gotten ready, you know, for a date before. Yeah,
we met there. I had reservations called ahead. I got there. I knew what her car looked like, so I waited in the parking lot until I saw her car. Walked
you were there early.
Yeah, I would made sure I was there. I was probably there like 30 minutes early. It was kind of ridiculous. I walked out to her car. I'm sure I opened your door. No? Do you remember any of this?
Yes.
What happened?
You don't remember?
No, I don't remember any of this.
You didn't meet me outside. You were inside. I sat there for a minute. I was like, I wonder if he's here. And I texted you. I'm like, I'm here. And you said, okay, I'm already inside. And I was like, oh, wow. And I was like, he got here really early. Because I got there like probably
Oh, I was
10
waiting
minutes
just
early.
inside, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were
Okay.
just by the door.
Yeah, I was waiting inside by
But
the door.
as soon as I started to open the door, I looked up and you were like right there, like you were opening the door for me. And I was like, he's so tall. That was like my first thought. I was like, oh my word. Because like I said, I hadn't seen you in like streetwear, whatever you call it. You're in jeans and boots, that salmon shirt.
Salmon shirt from American Eagle, and you were in your denim dress with long sleeves rolled up.
Yep.
Still one of my favorite dresses that you own.
Thanks, baby. I was just like freaking out by how handsome you were.
Well, thank you,
I was
baby.
like, I'm on a date. And then I was thinking, like, what if I see someone that I know? Like, what am I going to say, you know?
What would you have said?
Like, I'm on a date. I don't know. We sat there and we talked. It was a little bit awkward. I was so excited. I didn't have that experience. Like, I wonder if this is going to work out or not. Or I wonder if, like, I just already knew it was going to work. So I was just, like, in dream
You were in La
world.
La Land, and I was over there sweating bullets.
Yeah. I was so happy. It was the best. I ordered lobster ravioli.
I had chicken parmesan.
It was so fun. And then, of course, you paid.
Yeah, we talked about all sorts of things. There was some awkward moments, at least for me. I feel very self-conscious. Or I used to feel very self-conscious whenever there was like a quiet moment. I feel like as the guy, I'm supposed to be the one that fills those quiet moments. And it was just like, I've never been super good at that, just thinking of things to talk about all night long. And she's like a little quieter than I am as far as being extroverted or introverted. That was awkward for me. There came a point where like eventually I just had to kind of embrace it and just kind of sit there and enjoy each other's company and wait for my mind to tell me of something to talk about. I do remember one time specifically, we're sitting there, I'm trying to think of something to say, it's quiet, we're eating or we're done eating. It's just dead quiet. And then she starts laughing for no reason at all. For no reason at all. And I'm trying to figure out what she's laughing at. So I just asked her, I was like, what's so funny? And she just said, that person's sneeze over there was hilarious.
I have lots of friends. Our humor is coughing or sneezing in a very silent, atmosphere or whatever. It's just funny. It's like obnoxious,
Yeah.
And then we stayed there until the restaurant was closing.
That's true.
We had that thing going.
We had that streak going for a while.
It was like 10 o'clock.
We stayed until it closed, and then we left. I walked her to her car, gave her a super awkward hug, and
because you weren't going to do anything.
Well, I didn't want to be too forward. Like I seriously
Yeah.
did not know how these things went.
I went in for a side hug.
Yeah, you went for the side
I had
hug.
to initiate because I'm like, I can't just do nothing.
Yeah.
I don't want to just do a front hug or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you went for the side hug.
Yeah. My best friend was like texting me. She's like, how's it going? What's going on? You have to keep me updated. And I was going straight to her house. So I called her.
Oh, you went straight to her house after that?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Well, I walked in. Her mom was at the door. And she said, is he the one? I said, yep, he's the one. And she
After
was like,
our first date?
like screaming. Yeah, literally.
Man.
And then her little sister came. She came in the hallway. She's like, is he the one? And I was like, yes. And then my best friend came out of her room. She's like, well, is he the one? And
Oh, my word.
And everyone's like, yes. And we were all like jumping around and screaming.
Oh, brother.
I was like, he's the one, And then we went through like every detail of the night, like every detail. What he did he hold the door open for me? Did he pay? Like all these, questions.
Did she give me a grade?
Yeah, she was like, yeah, he did good,
You did good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Over every little thing. The only thing we were held up on was the drive, like, she was like, well, he's probably just nervous or, something like that. I don't know.
She gave me the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. So then what happened when you left? Did you just go to sleep or like?
No, I called my sister on the way home. She's a bit older than me, and she was single at the time. And she was kind of like my wingman. She would give me advice on this kind of stuff. She's, 7 years older than I am? 7 or 8 years older than I am. I would always call her, and I talked to her, told her how it went, told her all the things, and she was really excited. She really likes Courtney.
She was the one that we hung out that weekend of the wedding. And she's the one that like got my number.
Yeah, she was really excited. She's glad to hear that it went well.
I think that was pretty much it.
Yep.
We were up the whole night talking. You probably just went to sleep. Went to church the next morning.
Was it Saturday night? Yeah. I probably had worship team the next day.
My whole world was just complete though. That's all I knew.
Thanks, baby.
And that was it.
That is the story of our first date.
Yep. So then next week.
We'll continue the story from this point
until we become
I
girlfriend.
asked you to be my girlfriend.
Yeah. Which is a fun story.
Yeah, so if you guys are interested, make sure and subscribe, like the video, and tune in next week, and we will continue the story from this point until I ask her to be my girlfriend, which has plenty of interesting twists and turns.
Yep. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video, and we will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
See ya.